I'm going to talk about the twin flame journey from beginning to end. It's a relationship between two people who are opposites. One may be materialistic, while the other is spiritual. Or one may be a dreamy romantic, while the other is rational. It's an attraction of opposites, a need for each other's energy in order to grow, mature, and become whole. In simpler terms, God brings them together so they can take from each other's qualities and find balance. The material one learns from the spiritual one, and the spiritual one learns from the material one. The spark usually begins with the material/rational person. The material one is strongly drawn to the dreamy spiritual one. By nature, the material person is a hunter of relationships, opportunities, and challenges. The material one sees the spiritual dreamer as just another prize to capture and wants to possess the spiritual one. The material person tries again and again, even though at first the spiritual one is not interested. But at some point, the spiritual dreamer softens and falls in love with the material one. At that moment, the material person feels victorious in the challenge, and so loses interest and starts seeking a new prey. For a while, the spiritual one keeps chasing after the material one, but eventually stops running. Instead, the spiritual one decides to work on self-growth, purify the soul, and acquire the material skills needed to grow and complete the personality. The spiritual one reaches self-fulfillment, and when that happens, it's as if the whole universe begins to chase after the spiritual one. When the spiritual one completely disappears, and the material one looks back and no longer sees the spiritual one running after him, a deadly emptiness appears. It's a void of meaning, a terrifying spiritual emptiness. Then the truth about the material one's shallow relationships becomes clear, along with the superficiality of the material one's thinking. The material one begins to develop the spiritual qualities needed for growth and maturity, and finally realizes the purity and sincerity of the spiritual one. The skills each needs to acquire. The spiritual person needs to learn material skills, such as taking a course in social intelligence, practicing sports, self-discipline and commitment, taking a course in emotional regulation, developing the skills of the left hemisphere of the brain. This point is very important. Saving money, taking care of physical appearance and maintaining a healthy weight. The material person needs to learn spiritual skills, such as prayer, helping others without expecting anything in return, forgiveness and letting go, spending time alone in self-reflection, meditation, volunteering, developing the skills of the right hemisphere of the brain. This point is very important.